bullet. Here's Van Basten, the danger man. Marco Van Basten breaks the deadlock.
Some players seemed destined to defy the impossible. Marco van Basten was one of them. A striker who combined elegance, technique, and unforgettable goals. But also one of football's saddest stories. A genius forced to stop at the very peak of his career. This is the moving journey of Van Basten, the Swan of Utrecht. Marco van Basten was born on the 31st of October, 1964, in Utrecht, the Netherlands. The son of a former amateur player, he grew up surrounded by football and dreams. From an early age, he stood out for his intelligence on the pitch. At just 7 years old, he was already playing for local clubs. By 15, he caught the eye of Ajax, who quickly realized they were looking at a rare talent. At 17, Van Basten made his debut for Ajax, replacing none other than Johan Cruyff. And he did not disappoint. He scored 128 goals in just 133 matches for the club. Volleys, headers, first-time finishes, a machine of class and precision. It didn't take long for all of Europe to bow to the Dutch striker. In 1987, Van Basten signed for AC Milan. In Italy, he reached his absolute peak. Together with Gullit and Rigid, he formed the Dutch trio that changed the history of the club. Serie A titles, Champions League triumphs, and goals of pure genius followed. With elegance, strength, and instinct, Van Basten mesmerized the footballing world like few others ever have. But the moment that immortalized Van Basten came in 1988.
Van Basten! He scored
In
again!
the European Championship final against the Soviet Union, he scored one of the most astonishing goals in football history. An impossible volley from an almost zero angle that to this day defies logic. It was the pinnacle of his career, and the moment that secured his place in football's Olympus. But not even geniuses can escape fate. Van Basten began to suffer from a serious ankle injury. Countless surgeries, painful treatments, and endless months away from the pitch followed. He tried to return, but the pain was unbearable. What should have been another 10 years at the top ended far too soon. In 1995, at just 30 years old, Marco van Basten announced his retirement. One of the greatest strikers in history was forced to hang up his boots at the height of his physical and technical powers. It was a moment of shock for world football. The Swan of Utrecht would no longer glide across the pitch. Even with a short career, Van Basten won the Ballon d'Or 3 times. A European champion, an Ajax idol, a Milan legend, and an eternal inspiration for generations of strikers. His story reminds us that talent can be infinite, even when time is not.
Wouters, Van Basten, schitterend! Schitterend! Marco van Basten. Het mooiste doelpunt van deze competitie, denk ik.
Marco van Basten, the genius who shone like few others, and whom football lost far too soon.